Welcome, everybody. This is Intellectual Porn. I am your host, Mantra, and this is my co-host.
Gentleman Rooster.
There we go. Today, we are actually just going to go on a little bit of a tirade. We're going to do a little bit of Joe Rogan style, just kind of chatting it out, talking about life. We don't really have much of a topic today, but stay tuned. Things might get interesting.
Define interesting. Oh God, we're all gonna die. That's a Serenity reference for you geeks out there. You know what I'm talking about. All right, what are we talking about?
I never actually watched Serenity. I did.
What?
I know everyone raved about it, and I've never gotten around to it.
Did you watch Firefly?
No, though. Like I didn't want to watch Firefly without watching Serenity.
Oh no! You have to watch Firefly first and then Serenity.
But it came afterwards.
No, Firefly was out many years before Serenity.
Which one was the TV show then? I guess
Firefly.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay, sorry. I thought it was
one season, a phenomenal season. The first episode is like the origin, but there's an even better story that is the origin episode, deeper into the series. So you could probably do without the first episode. I love the first episode, but what happened was the first episode is really what Joss Whedon wanted the look and feel of the show to be, and it's more of a drama. It's like there's funny moments in it, but it's very slow. It's much slower paced. And then Fox saw it and was like, "No, we want more comedy." So then they made a second episode. So they had the pilot episode, and then they made a second episode. The second episode was faster paced, more comedy, and still kind of like an origin story. Like they still kind of throw in like, origin, like exposition. There's a lot of exposition in the second episode. It's very originy. It's corporations being corporations.
They make money. Okay, well, here's a question. What are your 3 favorite television shows and why?
Supernatural.
Really? Supernatural? I gotta watch. One of my best friends is a huge Supernatural fan, and I've been resistant because I started Supernatural after I finished X-Files, and I'm like, I couldn't square that circle. I'm like, this is not the same. Like, I want sophistication, and this is goofy,
Yeah, it's ghosts. It's all things supernatural mixed with 45s, muscle cars, and classic rock. Like it's the best of everything. It's the best of literally everything.
I mean, they're still going. What are they on, like season 13, 14, something like that?
May it never stop. I'm at the point where I don't care what kind of there was one season that was terrible, and I almost gave up. On the whole. I watched it, powered through it, and I was like, ooh, and it was like the 9th season. So like I powered through it because they earned it. They earned one bad season. But I was like, if you guys screw it up this and the next season, I'm out. But then the next season, it was like the next season was like, we're really, really sorry about the last season.
Kind of like the Captain Marvel trailer. We're really sorry.
Yes, we're really, really sorry about that Captain Marvel. Look, she's smiling. It's a smile, sweetie. Smile,
smile, sweetie.
But it is ridiculous. It has gotten to the point where it is stupid, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. The last season finale was a letdown, and I hope that. And the next season is supposed to be their absolute last.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they kind of redeem themselves on the season finale of last season. But it's a solid show. It's very, very fun. Don't overthink it, and it won't insult you. It'll actually there's actually a lot of like small, like depending on how geeky you are about supernatural mythos, and I mean they explore all the mythos of everything. And depending on how geeky you are, you'll pick up on nuances, and you're like, "Oh my god, they're speaking to me. That's for me." That's how you'll feel in some of those episodes. Gotham, I love.
Yeah, I remember we watched an episode, and I was pretty impressed. You like a lot of CW stuff.
Yeah, I feel like CW is the network with guts. Like it's the one that has the balls to do stuff that's gutsy.
Do you watch Hellcats too?
No, I don't. Hellcat.
Hellcats is about cheerleaders. All I know is because I have the app
I'm
because I
in.
was.
That's my third favorite show. I haven't even seen it.
I was I was looking on it because I liked whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
And they had all the seasons or something along those lines, and so I watched them on the CW app. But that always came up, Hellcats and like Lucifer and whatever one was about the doctor guy who lives in Colorado somewhere in the mountains, Gilmore Girls, things like that.
I mean, the challenge is: are we talking about my three favorite shows of all time, or three favorite shows that are like actively playing right now? Because Firefly is solid, but I feel like that's an honorarium. It's one season, never picked up after that, never concluded. The movie Serenity kind of concludes some stuff. There's like an in between comic anthology that it's very quick read, but that kind of wraps up the show to go into the movie. But and then there's Exo Squad, which had two seasons, which was amazing. But that's my kid. It was a cartoon as I was a kid, and I really want to make that into a movie. Like that's my dream, is to make Exo Squad into a live action movie.
Nice.
But a third favorite show that is on air. It's difficult because I don't watch TV. I watch Netflix.
Well, the thing is like the cat. You kind of have to pick the category. I don't really care if you pick one that's not going because all of my favorites, other than Game of Thrones, are inactive at this point. No, I guess that's not entirely true. But anyways, keep going.
Have you seen Longmire?
I've heard about it, but no.
Longmire.
When I say heard, I mean I've heard the name, and I think I might
Long.
have seen a picture of it or whatever.
It's an amazing. It's a procedural crime drama show, but it's told as a western, as a cowboy western, but it's present day. So it's like a border. I think I forget which state it takes place in, but like it's a border state. So it's a border town, a small border town. So it's very open carry friendly. It's like they've got like 3 police officers that kind of like that's it, the sheriff and 2 deputies.
And obviously, you mean border town with Canada, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what they all are. They're all border towns. As a matter of fact, there's an episode of Supernatural that's super meta, and the main characters get teleported out of their show and into the studio, like into the studio set of their show. And it's in Canada. It's in Canada. And what's funny is who is the guy, Mick G? Mick G was the executive producer, and we hate Mick G because he's such a douchebag. And so, like for all these episodes, it always says executive producer Mick G. And my cousin and I would be like, "Argh!" Every time that was like our tradition. We would watch and be like, wait, here comes Mick G, Argh! And then we'd watch the show. And literally, the episode where they go into they get teleported out to the studio. Like I think it's like some demons follow them, and the demons have guns, and they're trying to kill the main characters. And Mick G and his producers walk around, and they walk out, and they're totally dressed like douchebags. And Mick G looks up, and the demons shoot at the main characters. The main characters dodge out of the way, and they pummel Mick G, and he's like, and he keeps getting shot again and again and again. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Mick G. I love him now.
That is awesome. That is literally a show that knows its audience. Yeah, that is fantastic.
It knows, right, and it knows what it is. It knows what it is. So yeah, you got to watch that show.
I'm a little bit more convinced now because that is something like my friend talks about, like how the two guys are really big on like getting with the fans and being as friendly and cordial and stuff like that with the fans as possible. She said one time there was a convention where the guys like taxi broke down, so since he couldn't be there, he bought everyone pizza or something along those lines at one of the conventions.
Yeah,
just so real, like, which is pretty awesome.
They channel our energy. Like there's actually a behind the scenes thing where like one of them like lip synced. It was clearly like they were just like setting up for another shoot, and the dude's sitting in his car, and he's like the music. It was like one of the classic rock songs came on, and he just broke out into this impromptu dance number, lip syncing the song and working his dance with the car, and it's like this thing of beauty, and you're like, you're a class clown. You're a clown. You are so awesome.
That wasn't Oh gosh, what's it? That's been a popular thing. Like, oh, what's it called? It's not something. If you love me, um, it was a big thing. People were doing this all the time.
No, 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 not Kiki, not Kiki. No,
Kiki,
no, no.
yeah, 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 yeah.
No, no,
It
no.
wasn't Kiki.
No. Like,
Okay,
hang on.
because that was
It's
one of the things. Like they
no,
would open up
no,
like
no,
the
no.
door and they would just let
Eye
the
of the
car.
no. He breaks out into Eye of the Tiger. That's what it is. He breaks out into Eye of
All
the
right, that's
Tiger,
awesome.
and does this. I'm gonna share. I'm just gonna get this link. It is amazing.
Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up. Bring it up.
I'm gonna shoot you. I think this is it. Let me see here.
I don't see
Yes.
anything,
Yeah, here
but
it is. I'm just gonna share the link with you.
oh, so I can
Yeah,
bring it
because
up.
you were the master here. So there it is.
Supernatural Dean. Okay.
Dude, I love this guy.
1 second. I gotta pause it so it doesn't accidentally. Ah, come on, don't do that.
Doesn't bring up your actual porn.
No, it. I didn't want it to start playing over the
Right.
sound because then everyone gets a commercial, and that sucks.
You figured out how to do the music, the audio though, right? So the audience can hear the video now.
Well, if I need to, I'll just do what I did before, which is I will
Just take the audio and cut it in post.
I'll just include it. Yeah, like I did with the Captain Marvel video, where like what you saw was terrible. Yeah, let me. Nobody needs to watch this.
Mind you, this is entirely like he ad libbed this. They're just killing time, and this happened. And this is what he does. Like he's actually a good singer. Like he does karaoke and stuff and rocks the house. But
All right, let's skip that ad and see what's up.
I love it when people are not afraid to have fun. Like but go wackadoodle fun.
Yeah, no, I think that see, and that's the thing is like that is a perfect example of a like a group of people who understand their audience, understand how to be human, and don't get so caught up in the just the BS of life, which is what we're seeing in so much of this, some of this other stuff, like what we talked about in Captain Marvel, just somebody who's so detached from what people actually want and need. They don't need somebody to go out there and pretend that they care about, about minorities, but they're going to take a $5 million check to be the person who cares about minorities, right? Just give your damn roll over to a minority if you care that damn much, right?
Well, Captain Marvel. When you're talking about Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel was a black girl. Was a person of color.
Well, she was
Monica Rambeau was Captain
yeah,
Marvel.
exactly, yeah.
If she really wanted, if she was really about minorities and feminism, she would not have taken the role. And then to say that like her charity is to raise money, other people's money, to buy tickets for girls to come see her movie. That's her like just you buy the tickets, Bree. If you're so charitable, if you care so much, you buy the tickets. I get it. Like I understand what you're trying. I understand what you're saying you're trying to do, But if that's the case, that you want to raise other people's money for actual charity, then give these kids what they need, like what they actually need. Give them food, give them school books, give them a tuition to a school, or equipment for whatever sports program, or a science kit so they can break into STEM, which is where they're lacking, which is why they're not ahead. Like, no, let's show them. Like, no, my real charity is to get other people's money to me so that they can come watch me on a screen. I'm awesome.
Have you ever seen The Incredible Burt Wonderstone?
No, I've never
Well,
heard
I'm
of
just
what's
gonna,
this.
this doesn't give any part of the movie away, but you should see it. It's a fantastic film. If you like Steve Carell, if you like Steve Carell comedy, it's amazing.
Okay.
But what's the guy's name? He played in Boardwalk Empire. He kind of has crazy eyes. Something Belushi or something like that.
John
Uh,
Belushi?
Steve Buscemi, is that right?
Steve Buscemi. Is it Steve Buscemi? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Steve Buscemi. So he's in it.
Oh, yes. I saw a skit of this where like the dude actually stabbed himself or shot himself or something. Like,
Well, there is a Jim Carrey is also in this movie, and he is like the
yeah, I
oh,
see
what's that
him. He's got
magician's
super long
name?
hair.
Who basically he does all the crazy
Angel,
creep.
Chris
No,
Angel,
not Chris
or
Angel. He
David Blaine.
David
Is
Blaine. He
yeah.
acts like David Blaine is what Jim Carrey acts like. But Steve Buscemi has a part in it where he makes this documentary about how he goes to third world countries and he hands out magic kits to everybody. It's like they want food and
Yeah,
water,
yeah.
and like the kids are like eating the box because they don't know what to do with it. It's so awesome. It's such a great scene because he's like, turns out they really wanted food and water. Like, we didn't have magic. But he started this,
Uh,
like, that is literally Brie Larson right there. Is
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm trying to give these girls the opportunity to go see my movie. So basically, all the money that is spent comes back to me anyways,
It's what a clear ploy. Like they're recently. So the movie is set to well, okay, nobody can predict the
The
future. It could it
90s.
could it could explode. It could explode into not what it's set in, but what it's projected to, the projected earnings. It was at 180, and then it went down to 140, and now they're looking at possibly 100, and now like, oh no, maybe it's 110, 120. We don't know. It could blow up and be a massive success, which
It could be if it is
I
good.
would love for it to be a success. If it's an actually good movie, I'd love for it to be a success. I want Marvel movies to continue. But they're looking at this possibly becoming an $80 million. What are you doing? What
Oh,
did you?
I'm just sort of pointing
Or were
out that
you
you have
implying something? I don't know what you're talking
movie.
about. No, I just love Marvel movies. I just love Marvel movies. Uh,
No
I have
insider trading
I
or
have
any
no financial
reasons
incentive
over here.
for this movie to be a
Yeah.
success. But well, and you know what? If it is a success, then it does give hope. I mean, there's a lot of people with financial incentives. There's comic book stores that have financial
I mean,
incentives.
I really don't care.
Okay, well, anyway, it's possibly going to get 80 million. And that's going to be an embarrassment because they're paying Brie Larson $5 million for this. It's going to be an embarrassment if they do 100 or 110 or 120 because Iron Man, they paid Robert Downey Jr. what, $50,000 to be Iron?
500,000.
Was it 500,000?
For
Okay.
the first movie, it was $500,000.
Okay, so
Brie
less
Larson is
less
the
than a million.
highest paid actor or actress to star in her own movie that is an original picture.
They're going to pay her they paid her 10 times the amount Robert Downey Jr. paid. And if they pull out 110 million, that's what they make. She will have generated the same exact revenue as Robert Downey Jr. adjusted for inflation, which proves demonstrable proof that women are worth 70 cents a dollar. Sorry, military. I mean, like anyway, so that's a joke. Okay, that's hyperbolic. So they're looking at this as a potentially embarrassing moment. If they don't break, they need to break 200 million to justify a $5 million check. They need to break 200 million opening weekend. They're probably not going to do it. So what they're doing is they're saying, well, look at the pre-sales. The pre-sales have beat Aquaman and Wonder Woman. The pre-sales are amazing. I'm like, huh, how did that happen? Could it have been a charitable campaign for girls to see the movie?
It also could be that you're not allowed to return your ticket.
That's yeah. Wait,
No,
wait.
there's a
I
guy. There's
bought this
another
last
channel
year,
called The
and
Quartering, and he literally does a whole episode on how if you bought a ticket early, you can't refund it.
oh man, so all these
You can
people who were
refund it for every other like movie, but you can't refund it for Captain Marvel.
so these people with these season ticket holder Marvel movie people are like, oh crap, Brie Larson's in this. Oh wait, what did she say? Can I? I can't. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
basically, Disney is keeping everything. But yeah, it's not just that. It's but here's the thing. The funny thing about it is also Solo also had huge pre-ticket or what did you call it?
pre-sales, pre-sales,
Pre-sales. Yeah,
and
huge
they
pre-sales.
lost $80 million.
Oh, they got wrecked. But the thing is they I don't know what's going on with Marvel. Marvel had a good track record, and I know we're getting back onto the Captain Marvel thing, which we weren't supposed to do. But
Oh well.
the thing was, is like this is what happens because nobody wants this, which to me is a great opportunity for anybody who wants to produce or create a new film production company. Like now is the opportunity because you could steal away all these fans from crap movies, right?
Uh,
I don't support Disney in general. Like I will not see Captain Marvel. Like if I see Avengers Endgame, it will be because somebody else bought it already on Blu-ray and I will watch it. I don't support Disney in general. Um, and so like that's just a personal choice of mine. I don't like Disney as a company. So but the thing though is it doesn't really make any difference. Like I know you and I support you, but I'll be honest with you, like I would rather just earn money and pay you back for all the onesies I would rather
what
Captain
onesies are you
Marvel
talking? What
lose
are you
money,
talking about? I have no
you
idea what
know.
you're talking about. No
But I
idea.
don't like Disney, so but that's sort of a personal bias of mine. And a different episode we can talk about that. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, okay.
just put a YouTube video in the chat.
Me? No.
Oh, it must have been the previous one, and just some reason popped up.
It's probably
But
Ghost
anyways, keep
Grandma.
going.
Okay. So a third show that is an active development that I
Oh yeah, we had a conversation prior to this. What Captain Marvel's just sucking
that's called a derailment, and I'm bringing it back.
Alita Battle Angel.
Oh yes. Okay. All right. Okay. So first of all, let me summarize. You asked for three, and I gave you two. Okay. So three is Into the Badlands. That's a Netflix original show. It's Into the Badlands. It's like a post. It's not even like apocalyptic, but it is like post apocalyptic, live action martial arts kung fu, insane show. It's awesome. It's very fun. There's some bland acting, some very deadpan, terrible acting from one of the lead actors, but
Is it
you
kind
can
of like that Navy SEAL movie? What was it called? Honor, something with honor. But
oh
regardless,
yeah where
yeah, where the
they couldn't
SEALs
act, they
couldn't
were actually
act at
SEALs,
all.
so they
Yeah,
weren't
because they were
actors.
real SEALs, but yet the action
I
sequences
think
were amazing.
I think
And the
similar principle.
cinematography
I think similar. Yeah, I think similar principle. The kid is a
active
terrible
talent, of
actor.
course.
Active Val. Yeah, no, it's similar in that the kid was chosen clearly because of his acrobatic and martial arts skills. He's not a good actor, but he kind of grows on you throughout the show. But the other actors more than make up for it. The villain is amazing. He's such a good actor. So very cool, and it's got a very cool twist on what the post-apocalypse would look like. So I'll just leave it at that. Into the Badlands. It's on Netflix. Every episode has an amazing martial arts sequence in it. That's the thing. And you look at that and you're like, what was the budget? Did you just send me a link? Did you just send me a link?
No.
Okay, that's Ghost Grandma. Ghost Grandma has invaded our chat. Ghost Grandma, stop that.
Yeah, they were being hacked already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
we have
two
52
thumbs
views. One subscriber, which I think is Gentleman Rooster.
What?
Like how can you hack us already?
Tim Cook. It's all Tim Cook. So yeah, those are three shows that I would choose. And Gotham and Supernatural, I think, are on their last season. If I think Gotham's done, I think they just finished, or they have one more. But those are three
Season
phenomenal.
finale of Gotham has to be like with Bruce Wayne being born or something along those lines.
Oh no, Bruce Wayne is in the very first episode.
Oh, he must be just a young kid. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
I remember that. Okay, I remember from the episode we did watch together that yeah, that's right. He's like 10 years old or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
He's telling Alfred like, I'm gonna solve the crime. Shut up,
Yeah,
Alfred, stupid
he's
old
learning to
man."
be a detective.
Yeah, the
Uh,
great detective.
yeah, the world's greatest. Yeah. So, yeah, three great shows. Okay, so Alita: Battle Angel, saw it with my dad. Amazing movie. So good. So good.
The female hero we
So
need.
good.
Wait, it's not the female hero we wanted, but the female hero we needed.
Yeah, that
Right? Is
exactly.
that the one?
It's
I don't
deserved,
know.
not the one we deserve, but the one we
Not the one
need.
we deserve, but the
It's
one we
not the one.
need.
It's definitely not the one feminists deserve, but it is the one feminists desperately need. Um, it,
I
I
mean, I
wasn't.
don't know yet, but okay.
I
I'm gonna go
wasn't.
see it tomorrow.
I was not excited or thrilled to see this movie. I saw the trailers and I was like, "This is retarded." There's a little when there's a one scene where she's like, "Does it bother you that I'm not human?" And this dude who's like clearly wanting to pork a robot is like, "You are the most human person I have ever met." And I'm like, "Whoa, dude! I'm gonna need you to dial down your hormones
A
from an
Gillette male,
11."
basically. Some Gillette male who's just like,
Yeah,
"You're beautiful,
exactly.
no
Yeah.
matter how
Well,
you look."
he was gonna do that, and then some bro came and was like, "Whoa, whoa, bro, dude, no, not cool, man, not cool. Don't catcall." Uh,
Some real guy actually comes in and is like, dude,
yeah.
don't do that. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth
Uh,
it.
no, it's but actually, the a friend of mine told me that I really needed to see this movie, and I trusted him, and then I read some articles where like it was really pissing off some feminists, like feminists were not liking this movie, and I was like, well, then I definitely need to see this movie. I
That means
really
it's
is.
good.
And it really is. It's amazing. She's not a Mary Sue. She's got her limitations. She does have, I mean, if you've seen the trailers, she's got her
She's
powers,
a
but she has
real
to learn.
character.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
she's relatable. Like she
Like
has flaws and she doesn't always do everything perfectly.
I
And
mean, it's like I know it's crazy. She does like this thing like a hero's journey. It's whacked
no,
out. Yeah, it's like,
no.
dude, yeah,
Like you are invested because you realize that she's fallible, and because you're a human and you're fallible too, it connects you to the character.
almost as if she's the most human person we have ever seen. Not kidding. My hormones dialed up to an 11. I was right there with that bro. It's like, yeah, you're right. We should
Yeah,
both
mine
make
too,
out with
but it
her.
was
Let's
with the
both make
Robin
out with the
Williams
robot
one.
chick. What was that?
It was with Robin Williams movie when he was a
was
robot. That's when
oh
my phone was
yeah.
up to 11.
Was that
Like,
was
yeah, you go, Robin.
rock on, Catholic boy?
But
um
yeah, I'm gonna go see it. I keep hearing really good reviews about it. I didn't want to see it when I first started. I was like, gosh, what the heck? It looked like that stupid movie by Peter Jackson, where you have towns attacking each other, like
I
town.
wanted to see that though. I really wanted to
Uh,
see that. Mortal
Mortal
Engines.
Engines, yeah, and
I
like
liked that
it,
concept. Was it? Did
it
you see it? Did you see the movie?
no, no, no. It just didn't do well at the box office. And with Alita Battle, it's sort of like The Greatest Showman. Like The Greatest Showman was one of my favorite movies. Like is now one of my favorite movies. But it didn't have a good start either. It basically built its base off of word of mouth, and I think that's what's happened with Alita. Mortal
Oh
Engines
yeah.
didn't have good word of mouth.
Well,
So
that's actually another thing is Disney has pumped how many hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing to push people, drag them kicking and screaming to this Captain Marvel movie. Meanwhile,
yep.
and oh, they broke record pre-sales. Meanwhile, Alita Battle Angel is almost entirely word of mouth, and it is crushing it at the box office.
Yeah.
Uh, it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody
gonna
watching
check
this,
it out. And
all 23 of you people watching this video need to go see Original Angel.
yes, all 23 of you.
And the you two that are downvoting our videos, we see you. Go see it. You'll thank us. And you'll come back and you'll give us a thumbs up. And then you'll rethink that and be like, no, 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 my principles. And then you'll give us a thumbs down again. But you will still have enjoyed Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like I rarely go to films anymore, just in general. But I listen to a lot of commentary, and so I'll go see movies if it like is consistently like that was the only reason I went to go see The Greatest Showman in the first place was because some of the people I follow on YouTube continued to say how great it was, and I'm like, All right, I'll go check it out. And I went to check it out without knowing it was a musical. Like, I'm not a big fan of musicals. And then I saw it and I'm like, this movie is fantastic. Now, I will admit, like, it's all based off about like a guy who's like an entrepreneur trying to create something new. And so it did strike like a little bit of a tone with me, but I thought it was fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies. And I don't like musicals very much. Like there has to be very specific musicals that I'll watch. But if I'm going to give my sort of inclusion on this conversation on what are the best three TV shows, now for me, my favorite TV shows would be X-Files, just because again, like I got into X-Files because a buddy of mine was really big into like the whole UFO thing, and I didn't really, I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of ghosts and stuff like that. That's always fun, but aliens seem a little bit weird to me. But we started a business together, and he got the box set for like the first season, so he started watching them at lunch, and so I didn't really have much of a choice. I watched it with him, so we'd watch an episode of lunch before we went back to work, and I was like, this is actually really good. Like it's sophisticated, and they like try to keep it as as realistic as possible, without going too bonkers. Which is why it didn't translate well into Supernatural, because when all the episodes, when all the seasons of X Files ended, I tried to jump into Supernatural, and they're just two different wavelengths, and I couldn't square that circle, as I said earlier, and but I just thought it was fantastic, and I actually am going back and watching it on Amazon Prime now, and it's kind of interesting to watch, and seeing like the old brick phones and some of the things that they talk about,
Yeah.
and watching the guys, who I used to think were like so good at presenting how like the SWAT would go into a building, and they're like the guy's like pointing a gun at his buddy's
He
head.
totally
So
he's
enter
yeah,
a
he's
room,
flagged him or whatever.
it's like what, but it's still fun. Like in some of the acting, like David Duchovny's acting is a little rough in the very beginning, but it's still a fun show. The next would be Top Gear, or what is now the Grand Tour, which I fell in love with. Like for a while, I always dream like, why isn't there like a Home Improvement, not a Home Improvement, like the Tool Time, Tim Allen's Tool Time on
For
Home
cars.
Improvement, but but in real life, like where it's just goofy crap, but you just enjoy it because you take a little bit away, but it's mostly entertainment. And my buddy, he wouldn't shut up about it. And I finally checked it out just because of his, nonstop blabbing, and just fell in love with it just because it's so ridiculous. You learn a little bit about cars, but not very much. The most of it is just, being just a bunch of dorks driving around supercars all over the place. And it's just awesome, and even when they try to give good reviews, they're not good reviews. And maybe I don't know. So everyone who's watching right now will know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So last one, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Of
All right.
course, my last favorite was Game of Thrones. I was a really big Game of Thrones fan. We kind of talked about this in the last episode. And it just, once they walked away from George R.R. Martin's plan and he was no longer writing, I mean, the bastard took 10 years to write one book. It all just ended up becoming crap. And I mentioned this last time. I was just like, I don't like watching movies or TV shows where I can predict the ending. Like, why I liked Game of Thrones was because I could not predict it. That when I was like, you watch the first season, you get to the very end, and you're like, that's not going to happen. That's not, somebody's going to come along, save the day. That's not going to happen. Wait, that was real? And I was hooked. And that continued to go on through season after season after season. Was a little bit duller in season 5, but then once it hit season 6, nothing. And it was like I got tired. Like, I don't like the idea. I don't like the miraculous savings that they do, because it's so Hollywooded out. I didn't like being able to predict exactly what would happen. I didn't like that Daenerys Targaryen lost all personality and lost, all charisma. Like I was excited to see that there was going to be another adventure with, the two guys going after her to go, to go find her. And it's like, look, if you want her to rescue herself, I'm totally cool with that. But don't spend 3 episodes having us watch their stupid travel scenes as they're going to find her, only for them to do absolutely nothing. Like it was really stupid. Like it was just a waste of time. There was no reason for them to be around. Like she could have done it on her own. If that's what you wanted to do, I would have been totally cool with that. But don't waste everyone's time watching them travel across the country talking about whose dick is bigger and who is more in love with Daenerys than the other person. It was like really stupid. And then finally for them to get there and then just for the sake of what wokeness to have them do practically nothing. So it was just a waste. So I didn't even bother with season 7, and I'm not bothering with season 8. Maybe someday I'll look into it afterwards, but I don't like shows that I can predict. It makes it boring.
So this is your third show that you really like?
Oh yeah, good point. I love season 1 through 5. Let's just put it that way. Season one
I
through five, I'm a huge fan. Everything past those.
I'm right there with you. I didn't include it in the list because of that. So you have one more show to list here.
Well, I had to, man. Okay. But I keep kind of running into the same issue. Like I liked Lost until, season 3. Season 2 was a little bit.
I couldn't do it. I lost it. I lost after during season 2, like halfway through.
Okay.
I felt like I was sitting in a campfire with like 3 people trying to tell me the same story. And I just want to hear the story. And then like halfway through, like the first guy's telling the story, he's like, and then the second guy's like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. So while he was doing that, I was over here doing this. Like I don't care about you, Fred. I've been listening to Jim the whole time, and I'm into Jim's story. Well, you haven't even heard my story. All right, Scott, what is your story? Well, see, while they were doing this, I was.
Well, yeah,
I forgot what I was doing.
I don't disagree with you there, because I didn't really care too much about like Michelle Rodriguez's character and some of the other guys who were part of that second group, but I didn't give up on it until the 3rd season. I also never understood like after the 1st season why they kept doing backstories every single episode. It was like, dude, just because you had something doesn't mean you have to continue with it. Like the backstories were necessary so everyone understood who the characters were.
Right.
After a certain point, you don't need to do backstories anymore.
Yeah.
But they kept doing backstories, and it was just that got a little bit too stupid. I did watch Fargo with Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic show, all the way through. Obviously only a single season. Sherlock I thought was great. I didn't like The Corpse Bride or whatever the heck it was called. I know you love that one. That was so like we're all feminists, look at us, like it just, I mean, it was, I also, again, like I was able to predict part of it, which I didn't like. I, I actually almost stopped watching Sherlock after the 1st episode because I was able to predict how it was going to end. And I decided to give another shot and then watch the 2nd episode and then was hooked. And I loved all the seasons since then. But there was another show I saw that was only, again, a single season long, and it was based off a British show. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
The Office?
No. I did watch The Office. I thought Reno 911 was actually hilarious. I always thought
Reno 911 was amazing.
Oh,
it was amazing.
I thought it was going to be terrible because I kept seeing, because Comedy Central is kind of hit or miss. They're either really good or really bad. Yeah. And I started watching it when I was in South Korea, and it was awesome. But what it was something called Mad Dogs, I think is what it was called. And it was about these guys who go down to not Panama, it was a different country in Central America, and basically they meet up with an old friend of theirs, and they all got like background, they all got kind of like axes to grind with each other, but they were all friends in college. And you kind of learn about these axes as you go along through it. But basically, the 1st episode, like their friend, who's this really wealthy guy who invited everyone down there, who showed him his estate and has all these connections, he gets murdered by the drug mob down there. And suddenly they're like left to hold the bag, and they have to pay these drug dealers back, and they're trying to figure out how to handle all of this. and it was fantastic. I think there's only like 12 episodes, and that show was pretty addicting as well. Um, but I haven't found anything like any like multi-seasonal shows. Most
Have
of
you
them
seen Burn Notice?
I tried a little bit of Burn Notice, didn't really. I don't know. It's tough. Even for Game of Thrones, when I first started it, I watched part of the first episode maybe 3 times before I actually finished the whole episode.
Oh wow.
Um, so it's really hard for me to get into a new show. Like it's got to really capture me, or I've got to hear a lot of raving reviews about it. But yeah, like I don't know. Like I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously when I was a kid, I loved Batman the Animated Series. I thought
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
fantastic. I loved X-Men when that was out. I'm trying to think if there's any shows in general. I try new things every once in a while just to see what's out there. Like I tried Lost in Space and thought it was abysmal. The Netflix version of Lost in Space. It was just so stupid.
Well, I mean, have you gotten into Black Mirror? I mean, that's a must.
I actually have heard about Black Mirror, but no.
Oh yes, okay. You have to watch Black Mirror.
Okay, I'll
Black
check it
Mirror
out.
is insane because it touches on tech that we're going toward, like tech we're getting, and then it throws that into like a what if scenario, and they're generally pretty dismal. It's like the modern day. It's the Twilight Zone is what it is. It's the Twilight Zone of today,
Okay.
and
I guess
they do
that's
it
my third
very
because I
well.
love the Twilight Zone.
There's one episode that like SJWs are all about, and I can't stand because the protagonist was horrific, and it's about like social media and how they vote on you, and based on how your likes, you get currency and loans and stuff. The thing is China's actually doing this right now.
Yeah, it's not unusual.
Um, but
Marvel also did an episode on that too.
but they've just released a film that is a choose your own adventure.
I
And
was waiting for that.
it's legit. I watched it and I went through, I was there, I was watching the movie for 3 hours before it ended because I just kept everything that I chose kept sending me to a thing.
I always
It was
wanted to do a
amazing.
choose your own adventure film. When
Yeah.
American Idol came out, I was like, dude, there should be like a show where basically you have like 4 or 5 protagonists that are all invited to go to the Colosseum in Rome to battle it out as gladiators, but you get to watch their journey as
Yeah.
they go, and whoever wins the gladiatorial arena is voted on by the public. So everyone picks their favorite and they all get their own shows. Right. And so you watch them at different times, but everyone picks their favorite. And then when it comes to the actual like final episode, it's all based off of like people voting on it. And I always thought like, or something along those lines like that. Like I thought that's how Batman v Superman should have been done. Like they should have showed like Batman v Superman from Superman's perspective only, from Batman's perspective only,
Huh.
and then had the same
And
ending.
then okay.
So
Interesting.
basically, you would see the same battle at the end of it, like, but
Right.
you would have 2 different films coming out at the same
Perspectives,
time,
yeah.
and you had to go see both if you wanted to understand everything.
Oh.
And I was like, why wouldn't Warner Brothers, if they wanted to be different than Marvel, try
and
something
they
like
could have
that?
they could have cashed in twice on the same movie essentially. All right, listen, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, yeah. All right, sounds good, man. So, any final notes?
Go see Alita Battle Angel. Go see it.
Yes, go see Alita Battle Angel, and Captain Marvel sucks. And that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
That's how the cookie crumbles.